Playing like the pros is not easy, but apart from the pros having an insanely high technical level, they're typically also better because they know which things to do and also which things not to do on the pitch. So today I decided to look at 5 things that the pros are great at avoiding. And maybe you recognize some of these things from your own game, and if you can cut some of them out, you'll have already improved a little bit. Let's get going. The first thing pros don't do is taking too many touches, or more specifically, taking too many touches at the wrong time. Sometimes dribbling or taking an extra touch can be good as well, but pros often have a very good sense of knowing when to do it. But when shouldn't you then take too many touches? Well, generally speaking, football is a game where you don't need more than 2 touches, one to control the ball and one to pass it. However, of course, it can be useful to take more than 2 touches when you're attacking, where one-on-one situations are more common and losing the ball is less risky. So other than taking more than 2 touches in the attack, it's pretty much only when you want to slow the game down that you should do this. For instance, if you're ahead and you just want to play it safe. But more on that a bit later. Secondly, we have playing complicated football. Now, this is a concept that many, especially new players, get wrong when they watch highlights or compilations on YouTube. Because while it's true that some players use a lot of skills, it's often just 1% of the game. Now, the remaining 99% of the game is played as simple as possible. Here, it's just about passing and moving. And you should always look to pass and move, pass and move. And if you face a situation where you need to dribble, try to keep it as simple as possible. And the pros know that if you keep it simple, there's less risk of losing the ball and the other team going up and scoring. Now, for the third thing pros don't do, we have stopping the ball dead. This is more specifically stopping the ball whenever they receive it, because instead of fully stopping the ball, you should focus on receiving the ball with intent and have a plan for what you're going to do with it. Because when you have a plan for what you want to do with the ball, you can take a directional touch without having to stop the ball, look around, and then make a directional touch. It takes too much time and you're going to be closed down. But the key is also to look up when the ball comes at you so you know where to go, but also where not to go. And then there's wasting energy, which is also a thing that pros don't often do. By this, I don't mean that you shouldn't give your 100% whenever you play, but more that you should make sure that you're doing it at the right time. For example, running after a ball you'll never reach can be a waste of energy. So there's no point doing it. Essentially, you need to try and limit yourself to stay in your role for most of the game. If you take too many runs as a midfielder, I know it sounds stupid, but if you take too many unnecessary runs, you won't have enough energy to cover the necessary ones. And if you help out too much defensively, unnecessarily at least as a striker, maybe you won't have the energy to go on a counterattack. However, of course, when that is said, some of the biggest opportunities can be created when you get out of your position and thereby confuse the defense. So always think a little bit, be clever, but pick your battles, pick your moments to do this, and don't do it just at every opportunity you get. And lastly, we have the mistake of not managing time well. Now, sometimes it can feel like the pros have almost mastered this to perfection when you see them wasting time while being 1-0 up with 5 minutes to go. Now, it can be very frustrating to play against or watch. However, you can't deny that it's effective. Time management is effective, but it doesn't have to be classic time wasting. Pros also sometimes understand that they need to slow the game down and remain in control, or to take a quick throw-in when they're chasing a goal. Essentially, they're aware of the intended pace of the game at every minute, and this is something you should probably be aware of as well. Understanding the flow of the game, understanding the flow of time, and what you need to do in that moment. So be aware of if you should try and rush things, or maybe take some pace out of the game by stepping on the ball and passing it back, instead of risking losing the ball by just pushing forward. So those were 5 things the pros are really good at avoiding. Maybe you're not that good and could try to cut these things out of your game, because as I said in the beginning, if you do that, you will see an immediate improvement. But guys, are there other things that pros don't do that amateurs should? Let me know in the comment section right down below, of course. Make sure to subscribe to the channel with the notifications on. Remember that if you need new football gear, click the link to Unisport in the link to your left. And finally, if you like to learn new skills, hit the playlist in the bottom right corner of your screen. With those words, I'll be signing off. Cheerio.